Welcome to the Bearded Bro Show podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dustin, and we're forever joined by
Trav, as always. How's it going, guys? I love hearing the three welcomes before we begin. It's just, I know that you guys can relate because it's
like
just
a
the way
staple.
we always start. And literally at this point, it's like I wait for it when I listen back to the podcast. But yeah.
And like you even said it yourself, like you've had other guests on, and like you expect it, and then they don't say it, and you're like,
Yeah, and then I have to figure out, I gotta say it. Like it just, yeah, it's a thing because it's always Dustin. But yeah, just gonna talk about some stuff. Very free flow episode here.
yes.
Until I can get my eyeballs on Snowden, because I still got to do that. But I will do that, and whenever I do that, we'll talk about
Highly recommend
that.
I still highly recommend.
So, and we'll probably lose some listeners because some people aren't gonna care about this, but we do. That's what the Bearded Bros is just like our mutual like stuff that we like and dislike and everything. And one thing that me and Dustin have always been able to bond over is our mutual love for A Day to Remember.
Indeed.
They're whatever genre you want to call them. I just call them just basic, like they're metal, but they have very like what genre are they?
They're
Metalcore?
very,
like not metalcore. Metalcore is heavier stuff. Like punk metalcore.
They kind of fit in a wide variety because they can change their sound and make it work. I mean, like, and it's not just like how some bands will change their entire sound for one album. Like A Day to Remember will literally do it for like one or two songs. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about their music that honestly really attracted me to them in the first place was like, you could have a song that's like da 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 da, and it's like all happy, and you're like, yeah, let's go, And then all of a sudden it's like,
and then you get Mr. Always thinking about the end.
It's like,
yeah, you get.
On one
Yeah,
album.
like that's what's always attracted to me of A Day to Remember as well, is like their variety on they're the perfect mixture of like listen, I just for you guys, like I don't know how many of you listeners like this kind of stuff, but I started this might turn into a music conversation. I started with classic rock when I was growing up. My dad would blast like Boston, ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin. Like we have a radio station that's still going today that I still listen to whenever I feel like listening to classic rock. And I still, at the core of my heart, like in nostalgia, is classic rock. But then like what my dad won't listen to is like stuff that I got into later, which is just me going very modern. Like, I just discovered other rock and just kept going. So, at this point in my life, I listen to all kinds of rock. Like, up to, like, metalcore, all the way back to classic rock, to just generally rock, to, like, just jamming some, like, people will call Chevelle, like, generic or whatever you want to call it.
Radio rock's a good term for stuff like that.
And I'm just kind of like a sucker for, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I gotta, like, I hate the cringe word, like this cringe sentence, like I just like a good beat, like but that's kind of how I feel, because I'm not impressed, but just like, I can just listen to whatever and just take it for what it is. And just to give you guys some context, and really the main band, I mean, Dustin has been able to like talk about in the past on Xbox and stuff, is A Day to Remember. Mm-hmm. And this is not my recommendation, but I do highly recommend that if anybody is interested in trying out A Day to Remember, go listen to I'm Made of Wax, Larry, What Are You Made Of? It's the perfect song that just gets you into exactly what they are. They get heavy in the song, but they're also like this, like, what Jeremy, the vocalist, always says, I'm just singing along to the guitar or whatever. He's just like chill about everything. Like, that's what it is, like he's, I don't know, like the writing and everything. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I care sometimes about what bands are talking about, but then sometimes I'm not, because I'm just so into the music part. So for this new song, Brick Wall, which dropped, and they announced the new album coming in March. And this has been a long-awaited thing for ADTR fans, because it's literally like
since 2017.
I think they were supposed to drop this album like 2019 or something. I've just heard some theories. I don't know if that's true. But I mean, 2016 was Bad Vibrations, and that was
Was
a
it
long time
2016?
ago
I
now.
thought it was 2017. It doesn't matter.
No, yeah, Bad Vibes was 2016, and
And that was the
that's
last
crazy
one.
to think about, man, because that feels like yesterday when that was new, and that was the year I met Ashley, and the first thing that we really, like, that was like the first album that I set, because she was into rock and stuff, but she was more into like classic rock, but then like I came around and showed her A Day to Remember. She got way more into that newer metal kind of scene. And I just think that's cool because one of the first albums I think back to us listening all the way through together multiple times was Bad Vibes. So I have a nostalgic thing for Bad Vibes. I think it's a way better album than people talk about it being. But like I said, I'm just easy on the ears. It doesn't take much for me to be like, I like this. It's not because there are albums out there that I hate. but it really has to like be really bad. Like I think people just, long story short, Brick Wall came out, and I just personally, and I'm gonna ask Dustin what he thinks about it because he just listened to it before we recorded. Like I think it's just a really cool song, a nice bounce. It's got this rhythm to it. I love the ending because of how much I didn't expect the guitar to keep crunching over and over. I literally was like, oh, there's like, I was physically reacting with Ashley. We listened to it for the first time together in the car while driving, and I kept going like, okay, like, and all this kind of stuff because I was, we're coming off of like, no offense, Mind Reader is good. It's just not, I was just very shocked by how melodic they went with that. I'm not saying it's a bad song. I love the song, but Mind Reader was like a month after I couldn't even remember what it sounded like. Like, and it's weird for me because I'm not usually like that. I'm pretty easy to remember what a song sounds like, but it just felt kind of forgettable. But then I get that rhyme in the beginning with Mind Reader, like, sometimes the powers of the mind. Like, every now and then in my head, I'm like, I guess I'm remembering it again, and then I'll listen to it. But it took me many times to listen to Mind Reader over and over. And to clarify, guys, when I get into music and I get into, like, bands and stuff, I listen to stuff over and over and
I'm the
over.
same way.
I just think that's music, man. Like, I'm not a, like, one hit, like, I gotta, unless it's just an album that I just completely forgot about. I think it's always important with music fans. When there's a new song, like this Brick Wall, listen to it once, and then go right back. Like, don't let that first impression, because it took me a second with Brick Wall. I was reacting to it positively, but it took me a second time to realize, okay, what are the negatives in this song, though? What is, like, I think that ending where it's the same note over and over could have been changed up for the end or something, But I also really was impressed with how they slowed it down. It got really slow for a second there, and I don't know. Like, I'm in a group on Facebook. I have, like, a group on Facebook for every band I love. Chevelle, Breaking Benjamin, and A Day to Remember. And those are, like, my top three. And, like, people talk about stuff, people make posts like, oh, it's like, I don't know, like, I'm not the type of person to get into drama and stuff like that with bands or opinions, like, Star Wars groups or whatever, like, people have their opinion on Star Wars. Is like one of the most ripped apart, like mixed, like, franchises ever. And it's like the same with music on, like, A Day to Remember. People are literally saying, like, I don't know, man, it's just not homesick or whatever. It's like, why do people just listen to these songs and are just, like, expecting things? And so I left a paragraph where I basically said at the end, not trying to hate or anything, but y'all expect way too much out of, like, bands that you love. Like, just take the song for what it is and stop comparing it to every other piece of work they've done, because it is okay for a band to evolve. A Day to Remember has had really an interesting career with, like, the whole Victory Records thing, and now they're on a new record label.
Ordeal, yeah. I think they're on
and
their
so
own
it's
record
okay.
label, if I'm not
Like, you need to
mistaken.
forgive them for changing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're going a little bit more pop, but you know what? People that say they're not heavy enough now, they've always been a sort of pop metal. Like, it sounds a little different, yes, but don't say, like, oh, this is, like, totally different, because this still sounds like ADTR to me. But Dustin, what did you think about the new track Brick Wall?
Don't give me shit for this, but it's like, it's okay.
I get you.
I definitely can't say that it's my favorite or that it will be my favorite. Personally, out of every song they've released, and I think there's like a total of 4 for this new album so far. Oh, what the hell is it called?
Resentment.
Resentment.
Degenerates?
Resentment.
Yeah, Resentment was a banger.
Resentment is what I feel like. I just kind of hope, with Mind Reader and with Degenerates and with Brick Wall, they're okay. I mean, I can't hate on them because I love A Day to Remember, and I understand what they're doing as a band, and, you know, they're appealing to the masses. They always have. But I kind of hope that they take most of the album in the direction they went with Resentment. Because to me, that's like the A Day to Remember that I fell in love with. You know?
Yeah. And I totally can see where, I can see that perspective. I just,
because for me, everybody rants and raves about Homesick. It was a great album. Common Courtesy, for me.
Yeah, Common Courtesy. Like, that's always been my point, too, is Homesick is not my favorite anyway. Like, it's just not. It's all the songs that were on the radio, you know what I mean? Like,
Common Courtesy is the album that, like, I was like, I like this sound, and I want them to stay with this sound. Because it to me, Common Courtesy was the perfect mix of
they're super melodic and super metal
and,
all
like,
in one album.
Yes. If you are going to listen to an album by A Day to Remember, listen to Common Courtesy. It just hands down, it's going to give you the best kind of, like, variety, right? Like, you're really going to understand them more as a band by listening to that album, because it just, every song is different.
And if you like, softer rock or whatever, I mean, Bad Vibrations has definitely got a really laid back thing going for it. And I understand, like, people's perspective on when an album is disappointing. There's nothing wrong with being disappointed with an album, but people just go online. I wasn't disappointed
in Bad Vibrations, though, and that album got a lot of hate, and I don't get it. Again, like, am I pleased with the new album so far? No. Like I said, I loved Resentment. I love Resentment. And I just hope that they because that, to me, that's them. Like I said, I just hope that they don't stray away from that, because here's the thing about A Day to Remember, and whether you love them or hate them, they got big, and it kind of got to them. And now it's more like they don't play like the shows that they used to because they're too big for it. Which is awesome. Like, I'm happy for them. Like, they blew up. Like, they are literally probably one of the top rock bands.
You think it would have worked out better for them if they were more underrated?
Not necessarily underrated, but I feel like they're trying too hard to get on the radio now. And but
like, they're making the poppy rock on purpose.
And
like, it's just like, you know what? Let's just be more chill now so that we can just kind of die off and then do what we want.
and that's just it. Like, I get it from their standpoint, because that's just opening them up to more listeners. The more they're on the radio, people are gonna be like, oh, like, this shit slaps. But I just hope that they don't stray too far away from their true selves, and they haven't yet. But I don't know. I just hope.
Yeah, I could see what you mean by these songs kind of feels like, but is this the start of them straying away from it? It's like, it is alarming. And I kind of I've kind of braced for it, because I watched some Jeremy interviews even before we ever got a single for this album. And just like him talking about, like, like, I'm getting inspired by this and this, like, he's getting inspired by, like, all these other things, and that just happens with music or movies or whatever. You get a little bit of inspiration from everything, but they're having to do this new album with this new label, so it's like, maybe they can pick up the pieces again after this album when they do another one or whatever. I'm just like, how I see it is, I don't, like, hardcore fans of bands, like, aren't gonna let the band go. They're gonna give them a chance, but there's just people that are like supposed hardcore fans that just trash on stuff, and it's just like I'm sitting here like, I love the guitar in this song, man. Like, I'm not reading into it too much. It's just got a nice bounce, and like, I'm easy to please with rock. Like, it just, like, it sounds good, it sounds heavy. I'm noticing how the bass sounds in it. The drums are really cool. Like, it just has this, like, sort of like Resentment heaviness. And so I'm glad that, like, if all these, I would be more disappointed if all of these tracks we've gotten so far were just like Mind Reader. Then I'd be like, yeah, they're definitely going really pop. But they're kind of still sticking to, like, we got this heavy tone. And you know what?
People said,
Resentment, I agree, because that is my favorite we've got so far, because it just really like
Resentment is like
it has like guitar on top of guitar on top of guitar. Like the
that's
tone of it
like
is so
when I hear
so
Resentment,
heavy.
that's like the Day to Remember that I fell in love with in like fucking 2009, 2010. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like it just it took me back. It took me back to the first time I heard Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End and I'm Made of Wax and
Wake up.
yeah, and even going back to like before Homesick, they had what the hell was that album called? It had the their bird logo on it. The one had like the plot to bomb the
For
panhandle
those who
on
have
it.
heart.
For those who have heart. Yeah, like the song Heartless, crazy.
Yeah. And I just think people are taking what they love. Like, people are listening to A Day to Remember, and and like these people that are like just heavy music only, like heavy music only. Like, A Day to Remember, just how I see it is they're not for you if that's like, and people will argue all day they've always been heavy. It's like, yeah, they have heavy sprinkled in their albums, but they always have had like, yeah, okay, the first couple albums was pretty, it's like centered on heavy, but like, I mean, they've always evolved into this sort of like rhythmic, melodic, you know, and that's why, like Dustin said,
They're
that's
very good
why
at what they
I
do.
personally too fell in love with them, is because they're that mixture of metal and like, and just like if they ever changed vocalist, it'd be over. Like, just because Jeremy's
Yeah.
voice over that music is brilliant, and it's that perfect mixture. And yeah, maybe they did get too big. I don't know. But
They did.
highly
They got
recommend, guys.
huge. They got
Highly
huge.
recommend. And the longest song title they have, I think, I'm pretty sure. I'm made of wax, Larry. What are you made of? Search that on YouTube real quick. You guys are gonna enjoy. For one, the music video is hilarious, and it just like, I don't know. And I also don't want them to lose their sense of humor on all that either, because they have a really funny sense of humor on their music videos. And Bad Vibrations. Nobody talked about the one where they are like old men in a music
That
video.
was great.
It's hilarious. And so, hoping to see some stuff for that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about Day to Remember. I think you had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, before we're staying on the subject of music here, if you guys are familiar with the band Bring Me the Horizon, that's another band that like started out like super screamo, and then they kind of transitioned into like when they made the album
Ollie's
for
voice
those
only
who
got better.
It did, and their new stuff, I like it honestly, and I've been a fan of them even back when they were like in the screamo. You know, I listened to all that back when they had like Sleepwalking and songs like that. Like it, Sempiternal was the album. So fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was the one for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And then they come out with like That's the Spirit, and it was super fucking good. And I mean, I still like their stuff. I really do. I think that
They're definitely another hard like metal band that's going a little bit poppier now too.
but it works for them. It's like A Day to Remember. They remind me so
Yeah.
much of one another because like they can do everything, and it just like it works very well. And on
So
again,
guys, don't be afraid for your favorite bands to evolve, because it's just gonna happen. Like,
it is.
you get tired of hearing the same old. And with Day to Remember, we have this whole catalog. Like, even if this album sucks, look back on all the stuff they did. We have all this great stuff to listen back on. People are just so afraid of like new music just being just lackluster, and it's like, think about the bands, man. They have to like creating this music is not like super easy. It's like, they're sitting there making the songs and stuff, and it's, they got the whole world's opinion to look on, and it sucks. But
Well, I think the same thing can be said about Machine Gun Kelly too. The guy went from rapping to literally dropping a pop punk album and having a #1 album because of it. And the
Yeah.
fact that he can just switch like that and just get better and better, it's incredible, you know. And sometimes like he even said, he was like, like, I love rap. You know, rap's a big part of me. It's what I started. I'm never going to quit. He's like, but, like I had a feeling that I could do something different. I did. And it worked. And he was basically like, fuck what the people say. It's what I wanted to do. And look where it got me. Like this is what I wanted. This is what I've always wanted. And I switched it up a little bit and it paid off. But
Right.
speaking of music still, my buddy Josh Hoffman used to be in a band called Drop the Act. I don't know if I ever talked about him on the podcast before.
Oh yeah, that's who you were talking. Okay,
I
and
was
I was thinking that when you told me about it on Messenger, I was like, does this have any? I was thinking in my head, does this have anything to do with Drop the Act? But yeah,
he
that's
was in
kind of
Drop
crazy.
the
I didn't.
Act. And Drop the Act, they kind of went their own separate ways. I'm still really good friends with everybody there. Matt, the lead singer that was in Drop the Act, is like on a solo music path. The drummer's like in a little band. Um, I think Adam, the one guitarist, is I don't. I think he's just living life. And then Jake, I don't know if he's in a band. Jake and Josh are twins. Josh is in a band, a pop punk band from Pittsburgh called The Middle Room, and they put out this little EP like a week ago. Had 7 songs on it, and they are literally going viral right now. Like blowing up. Like if you guys like State Champs, they sound like State Champs, kind of, without being State Champs. But oh my god, is their music fantastic? And I'm so happy for him because like that's all he ever wanted, and he's just so happy. Like his music's taking off, his band's doing really well. They're all really great people, and I'm just super proud of them. It's just awesome to see.
I'm
You know,
definitely gotta check out that EP. I'm such a sucker too for bands EPs. Like I have a few bands on my Spotify that are literally only have a EP so far. I love listening to bands that are just starting out because I feel like if you like them at this point, it always feels like you're gonna end up being like, oh my god, like later because they're only gonna evolve. And some bands could evolve into bad and just end up sucking. Like it's probably easy to do that, but most of the time they only get better, they get more practice. And it just like I forgot there's this one band that I was listening to not that long ago that I'm just kind of it's another one of those things where I've sent it to other people and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it was just okay or whatever. And like again, I'm easy to please with these kind of bands like this kind of punk rock like with screams and stuff and just
did you
nice.
listen to that Machine Gun Kelly and Halsey song that they did together, the pop punk one?
I listened to. I think the last thing I listened to is that one cover you sent me. I don't remember what that was.
Oh,
Off the top of my head.
after this, you got to listen to "Forget Me Too" with Halsey. It literally sounds like if somebody took Blink 182 and did a song with Paramore. Like Halsey being somebody who like sings like. First of all, I think Halsey has the best female voice in the entire world. You can argue with me on that all you want. I'll win every time. I think she is the most talented female singer of our generation, to be completely honest with you. Some people can argue that, and that's fine, but for her to go from like the type of music she would normally make to being like fast and upbeat and like a more like upbeat pop punk song, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't have picked a better person to do that song with because she literally like he sounds good in it, but she literally tied that entire song together.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
And she
'Cause,
wrote
like,
her verse in 5 minutes.
Right. People I'm thinking of off the top of my head that are really great voices in rock is obviously Haley from Paramore and Amy Lee Evanescence.
Oh,
she's from Arkansas, by the way, which is pretty awesome. I think she's literally from Little Rock, which is like a half hour away from me. But what?
If you like the way Haley Williams' voice sounds, you would like Halsey in this song then. Because I really think Halsey... I don't think Haley Williams could have done it as well as Halsey did. And that's hard for me to say. But I'm serious.
Yeah.
I had a big crush on Haley
I don't know,
Williams.
guys. Let us know in the comments, too. What are some of your favorite bands? Are you into rock, or are you just like, oh, this is boring because I don't like rock? And it's like, well, wake up. Get into some rock. It's easy.
Yes.
Just listen to stuff. Like, that's why, I don't know, like, I know some people that have very limited, like, and I'm bad about it, too. I'll stay in the same bands over and over and not really expand. But, I mean, thanks to the way things are now with Spotify and stuff, I just get suggested this random stuff all the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check this out. Like, for instance, I didn't even know they existed yet. This puts perspective on, but a lot of people will be like, what? But, what are they called?
As She Sleeps?
Is it, well, that, but For the King, Fit for a King?
Oh, Fit for a King.
Yeah, literally, that new album they dropped is freaking phenomenal. And it's full-blown, like, heavy. Like, and I'm okay with that because, I mean, I'd like, the heavier the better for me, but it's, But it is a full blown, like, I listened to the whole thing, and like there are songs where, when you stop when you listen to music, and I get this a lot, like I'm like taken by how good it sounds in the moment. Like I'm just like, what? Like I just stop moving and I'm like, wait, what? Like when you go from like headbanging to like, what, you just do like a what to yourself and stuff like that. It just like it takes you to another level. And like that album was, I forgot what it's called, but it's their best album art so far too. And speaking of that, real quick, that's when Day to Remember's You're Welcome album art I already am obsessed with. I'm like, yeah,
It's
I gotta
so
get
good.
that on vinyl. That is definitely one of their best album arts, just in my opinion. I don't know. What would be my favorite? I don't know. Bad Vibrations is up there. I just like the way it looks. But I don't know. Like that's one of the best. It just has this like, and it's funny because Ryan sent me like, it reminds me of this. There's an Elton John album out there that has that exact, like there's an open wall and he's walking onto like a rainbow platform thing, and it's like Elton John on the back of his jacket. Don't know what it is, but they had to have looked at that and been like, let's take inspiration.
Oh,
because
they
it
probably
looks so
take
close to
inspiration
it.
from his music too. I mean, I feel like it really goes kind of hand in hand there.
Yeah, that would be. They probably watched Rocket Man and they were just like, yeah, we gotta, we gotta do this, and we gotta dress like a devil next time too. Yeah, I don't know, but continue on to what you were saying. I just want to say real quick, like that album art is so good. I don't know.
Well, I don't have anything more to say about music, but
Okay,
so
like that's the show, guys. Thanks for coming. And
I've been on this crazy movie kick lately, and I think it really all kind of started when I found Snowden on Netflix, and I put it on my Twitter and sent Trev too, like this little haul video I got, because Walmart was having their like Black Friday deals, and Trista came home and was like, "Hey, look, you like buying movies? Like we have movies like super cheap," and I bought like 5 movies for like $20-something.
nice.
And one of those movies being Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I watched for the first time.
Yes.
I put off watching that movie for so long, just because like I don't know. I was like, there's gonna come a time where like I'm either gonna get it, or like it's just gonna kind of find its way to me. And it just so happened that I grabbed the last one on Blu-ray, and it was $5.96 on Blu-ray.
Dude, that ending though.
So, dude, it was fucking brutal.
That just freaking Quentin Tarantino. I've always said like there are so many of his movies, man, that there was a time where I said, well, I still kind of say it to this day, like, because I'm a huge movie buff. I'm in it. I'm watching the YouTube videos. I'm watching the movie like shows that are like podcasts about films and people that really know and have been to film school. And like I used to watch a lot of Collider, but they went under and like are under new manager or something like that. I don't know. Like everyone got fired basically. And but I still watch the John Campea show every now and then and stuff. And he's always been very intelligent about films. And like I've always seen these people talk about how good Quentin Tarantino is and everything, and I've just always sat back and I'm just like, I watch his movies and I'm just like, I'm not understanding yet what, because usually when people rant and rave or something and something goes trending, whatever, like The Mandalorian, when it came out, it goes trending, and obviously I was there like day one because it's Star Wars and it's a new Star Wars live action series, why not? But like there's people that jump on stuff and become fans of things, like, and a lot of stuff where like people suggest things and it gets really popular or whatever, and then you jump on it, you realize with them, oh yeah, it is good. But Quentin Tarantino has always been that thing with his movies where I'm like, I don't get it yet. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was one of the exceptions of like, okay, he didn't go too crazy. Like The Hateful Eight, like you guys, we're gonna lose some viewers. It's just a garbage movie. I hated it. It's just so like, I don't know how to explain it. But then again, I watched it once. Maybe I need to give it another chance. But that first viewing, I'm just like, what is this? Like, I just like, and I'm so easy with movies, just like music. Like I can pretty much enjoy a lot and find the positives in any negative. Like even if I don't like a movie, I can somehow find positives in it. And like Hateful Eight was just trash to me. Like I've rewatched Pulp Fiction, and just the ending is my favorite part, but that's it. I don't really. There's not a lot about Pulp Fiction that I like. I mean, like I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail, but it's just one of those things. And Inglourious Bastards, everyone talks about that, and I'm just like, I watched it, and I've tried to watch it. I think
great.
I've seen it.
Not gonna lie.
I think I see it like 3 times. The beginning is the best part, but the rest, nope. Like, I don't know, man. I've never been able to grab a Quentin Tarantino movie and be like, this is so good. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like a huge, huge upgrade for me, because it set in that right time where it's just like, I get hooked on anything in this, like in these earlier decades, and I don't know. Can I say that I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I mean, that movie easily moved into my top 5. And what really, yeah, and I just want to preface this by saying too, like, that movie is not for everybody. It is it's very slow, and some parts for some people are like, why is this even in there? But I mean, it all ties together very, very well. And
Yeah.
you know, I like Leonardo DiCaprio. And to be honest, like, I'm not a big Brad Pitt guy, honestly. But him in this movie, seeing him kind of like, to me, like, it wasn't even like I was watching Brad Pitt. He like took on this whole new role, like, out of what he normally does. And same thing with Leo. And then like just Margot Robbie was in it, and that's not the reason why I love the movie, although that was a part of it. Just saying, the movie. I mean, the movie is just fantastic, and it's long. I mean, if you have almost like 3 hours to dedicate, I highly recommend watching it. Even if you don't like it, skip to the end. It is the most brutal fucking thing ever, and it's incredible. It's so well done. Because like,
yeah, there was a lot of build up to that ending, because it is such a slow movie that the major stuff happens at the end, and it's like, oh, okay.
But the slow stuff's good stuff. Like, it's not stuff you want to miss. You know what I mean? It's not boring. I don't want to spoil anything.
People that don't like slow movies, they're boring to me. I don't like even having a conversation with people that are just like, yeah, well, movies are just this slow. Like, just pay attention. Like, get into, like, it's okay if a movie just talks for like 2 hours.
People
like,
said that about the Joker,
too. It depends
too.
on what it is.
People are like, oh, that movie sucked up until the last 10 minutes. And I'm like, and I watched it.
Yeah,
and
because
like,
action hit, you know, and it's like, don't expect that. It's like, literally, like, people probably looked at that trailer and were like, oh my god, like an action like movie. It's about actors playing in action roles. And I'm also obsessed with those types of movies too, or shows that is about filmmaking. I love that about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it's literally like Leonardo DiCaprio plays this main character in a show that he's popular for, and Brad Pitt is his stunt double, and that's perfect, because you know, they kind of have a similar look and stuff, and it's just like, that's absolutely amazing. And you get to see like just the ins and outs of like somebody, I don't know, like, I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but the moments where Leo is like really having a fit and stuff is just so great, because Brad Pitt is just there to be like hand on the shoulder, like, you got this, bro. Like, and I love their back and forth.
It was a
so
great
much. I need to watch it
dynamic
again,
between the two of them. A great dynamic. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. The ending really had me going. The ending, I was like, oh fuck, like, this is it, you know, like, is it really gonna end like this? And then it just turned into the most brutal fucking amazingness I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because the ending, what you thought before that happens was probably like, oh, this is a Quentin Tarantino movie, so here we go. And it was like, when he surprises me is when I like his movies, because that ending was very surprising. It just was, and I was just like, oh, because there's just this like, there's this eerie sense through the whole movie of something's gonna happen, just all through it, and then it's saved for the end. And that's, you know, and that's why I say at the end of Pulp Fiction, that's my favorite part of Pulp Fiction, because that's that moment. That is like some of the best Samuel Jackson just acting, and just like, I mean, Pulp Fiction is old, so who cares about spoilers, but like, him just like basically talking this couple out of a robbery in his own way, and it's just like, it's Sam Jackson. So you're getting what you get. People like this is a tasty burger and all that, but I love it for the end. It's just like, it's so good. But Quentin Tarantino is a certain taste for certain people, and it's been hard for him, like, for... I think, and, I've really realized about his movies one specific thing, can't even talk, specific thing that I think is the reason people love Quentin Tarantino is because he does not go generic in whatsoever. His films are him full on Quentin Tarantino. And that's what I respect out of the guy. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Kill Bill, my favorites that he's ever done.
So good.
I even love the really weird and so random anime section of Kill Bill that I was like, oh my god, this is some of the best stuff in it. I wish he would have just done the whole movie anime because it has a vibe. And, yeah, I love that movie. But, what else?
The John Wick movies. I actually managed to get all 3 on Blu-ray for like $12. All 3 movies in one.
Nice. I got 2 and 3, weirdly enough, but I still got to get the first one.
Those movies... and you know what, like, I watched them with Trista, and it's just like, here's the thing about those movies that I love. They are so over the top and just ridiculous, like some of the shit that they do and like pull off. It's like crazy, but it is so, if you like action movies and just pure ass kicking, all 3 of those movies, I mean, and I tell you what, I honestly think that movie has some of the best creative kills out of any movie series ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Sure.
It's crazy. Like, I think it's in the second one or the third one. I can't even remember. I think it was the third one. He's like running through this. And by the way, the fact that they're like killing each other like downtown New York City and just nobody fucking cares and it's just normal to them is hilarious to me. But he's like overseas somewhere and he's like at this music festival. I think he's in Rome and he's like running through this crowd of people, right? Just normal people like trying to enjoy this concert. And he's in there shooting people in the fucking face. And like there was this one, he like, I don't know what he did, but he was like taking on like 2 guys at one time with they had guns. And he like had his arms contorted and somehow pulled this guy's head back, but his arm was like behind him. And he like pulled this guy's head back and shot him. Like, he, like, somehow, like I said, he was, like, all twisted up. I don't know what he did. I think he was, like pushed, like, kicking a guy, and he was, like, pulled he had this other guy by the hair, like, pulled his head back and just, like, on top of the gun and shot him. Like, I was like, what? And it was so fluent.
And that book kill in the beginning of 3.
Oh, my God.
That was insane.
Dude, he killed a man with a book. A book.
Oh man, and then I just got reminded about the next couple sequences, dude. Whenever the knives is like my favorite
when he's throwing the
freaking
knives?
part of 3. Like when like all of them are chunking knives at each other, and it's just like it's all of those guys know some form of martial arts and stuff, and it just heightens the like, oh my god, like through the movies, it's like, okay, John Wick's gonna survive. Like it's his series, but how? That's the whole series is how is he going to survive? And you know what? Keanu Reeves has been known to just not be like the best actor. He's just not, he's aware of it. He doesn't have like the acting chops, but he plays this just like menacing like guy so well in this series. Like this is the perfect series for Keanu Reeves. And it just is.
The training that he had to have gone through to do that blows my mind.
Yeah.
There's this one part, and I'm going to spoiler alert. But it's so good. Like, you honestly might miss it because there's so much shit happens. But this stands out to me because I watched this and it literally put Tristan and I in physical pain. He shoved a pencil through somebody's ear.
Yeah. It's the little stuff, man. It's the, like, I don't know.
And I had to, like, pause. I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, oh, dude. I was like, there's no way. No way. And like and I'm like he kicks the shit out of these people, and these people chasing him, trying to kill him because he constantly has a bounty on his head. And I mean, he kills fucking 12 people in front of him in 30 seconds, and they're still chasing him. I'm sorry, but if I was chasing that man and I just witnessed him fucking kill 12 people in 10 seconds, I'm turning around and going the fuck home. Like you win, man. Here's my gun.
There's some really great edits out there, and I highly recommend it to you as well. there's this one edit that is like the part, I forgot what movie it is, but the part with the horses,
Yeah.
where it's lightsabers. It's so amazing. It's like an edit with like they go all out with the special effects and sound effects, and it's just like it's so good. I'm pretty sure John had a purple lightsaber which fits. But yeah, man, it's just like
So
those
fun.
like yeah, I that's actually on me and Thomas's list because he's never seen them and barely heard about them when I mentioned them, and I don't think he's necessarily hyped because he has no idea what he's in for. He's it's not like on his like, oh yeah, we got to watch that. But I'm the one being like, dude, but we got to because you don't like I want to see your reaction to this. Plus I want to rewatch them all. And
Check your local Walmart.
and yeah, because they still have John Wick on a really good price, and maybe by then they'd have it on Black Friday. Which, speaking of movies, Target today. We went to Target, and
Trader.
we from what versus what?
I'm not gonna say it, but you fucking traitor.
Target's an amazing store. No, plus anyway, I'm gonna skip that. But we have been needing because as they were coming out, Infinity War, Endgame, all that, we bought them, and I've always kept up with the MCU in my collection. I have a shelf, like a specific square that is only MCU movies, and it's in the move and in release order. We still have never bought Captain Marvel or Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't know why. I just like the more time I give movies, the less like it just I fall under really bad, and I just put it off. And those are the two that I'm sitting here saying like, oh my god, I don't have the whole MCU. I just don't. Not anymore. I did it at a time, but now it's like okay. But we found Captain Marvel at Target, and this is gonna sound bad compared to how many movies Dustin got for like $20, but we found Captain Marvel for $10, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing because Target sells Blu-rays for like the 4K Ultra Far From Home is still $20 there, but we found Captain Marvel. I was like, me and Ashley were just sitting there with our jaw open, like, that's a steal. Like we basically said it at the same time and grabbed it because it's a non-sleeve one. It's just the Blu-ray case, just normal, and I'm like, it's fine because I put it on the shelf, and it only gets watched when it gets watched. Yep. I'm not like
I'm not like
I don't know.
care
Like
too much
there
about
are
the
some
sleeves
movies
either.
where I refuse to buy certain editions of movies though because of how garbage sometimes movie covers are. The Far From Home, just original Blu-ray cover is so bad. It's literally like Tom Holland in the Spider-Man suit looking, and it just has like Sam Jackson standing behind. They're just all standing in like a row or whatever, and it's just like ew. I don't know, man. I just like, and that's not the reason I didn't buy it, but I always kind of planned on getting the Ultra because it's cool because it has like half of his face is the stealth suit and half of his face is the regular suit. I think that's cool. I don't know. But I don't know. So eventually I'll get Far From Home because for one, Spider-Man 3 is coming at some point next year, so I'm like, got to do that. But so yeah, I just like I want to add to my collection, but I've just been slacking, and to find that today for $10 was a steal, and I'm excited to continue this month to see what kind of extra deals they put out, and I'm gonna try my best. I don't know if it's gonna work out at all, but because money's kind of a thing right now, but 4K TV Black Friday, I'm gonna try my best to get it at a cheap price, because before I get an Xbox Series X, I want to upgrade to 4K because what's the point? You know what I mean? It's like, like I want to upgrade to a new console for the upgrade on visuals mostly. I mean, loading times and all that, yes, are a bonus, but I'm not really like a big like, oh, the loading times have to be super fast. Like, I mean, yes, but it'll be noticed when I get the new console. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really notice like boot up times for games.
Unless you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5, you notice that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited about. What I'm excited about the most out of anything and any idea, and I texted Ryan this, I said, I have not gone back on Red Dead 2 for a second time. I always dreamed of doing it because I love that game so much. Phenomenal game. I am waiting for 4K on the Xbox Series X, play it again. Like at some point after I have it. Because those graphics are already really freaking amazing on just 1080p. So, wow. Like when the frame rate's better and stuff like that, it makes a difference. I've seen it on YouTube and stuff, what it's kind of supposed to look like 4K, and it's phenomenal. Like that's one of those games that's like, oh my god, they got it. They don't, like, games don't have to look like real life, but it's just like a bonus that game pretty much does. I'm like, oh my god. I don't know, but that's just me. Did you ever play Red Dead 2?
Of course, I beat it. Amazing.
Nice. Nice. I don't know why I went British, but nice. Would you happen to have a recommendation?
My recommendation.
And I have no idea mine either, so it's going to take a second.
I
actually do, real quick.
Go ahead.
Watch the Clone Wars. Loving it so far. I've been very behind on Clone Wars and Rebels and all that. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I've been missing out on all this awesome canon stuff that actually does happen in the franchise. It's not just like, oh, it's a Disney show that didn't actually happen with it. Actually, it does. You get more Obi-Wan and Anakin and their adventures between episode 2 and 3. I've just been missing out. And not to spoil it, but some things involving Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say anything else about that, but it inspired me and Ashley to actually continue Clone Wars, because a couple years ago we actually did start the show, but we made it to like episode 5, and I don't know why we dropped it, but just other shows and other movies distracted us, and so now we're actually dedicating time, and we are loving it. And I heard that like season 3 is where it starts to get really, really real and really good story, and even just with season 1, I'm like, I'm entertained, it's funny. It's just fun, and it's just that extra canon that I've been missing out on. I love it. And one reason I'm recommending it to you guys is because everyone and their mother has Disney Plus. They're all on Disney Plus. The Clone Wars movie, I'm pretty sure, is on there. The Clone Wars series, and also don't be fooled by this, because I was. The Clone Wars series recently had a new season drop that's attached to the show, with like brand new animation and all that. You guys probably know about that, but it says on the Clone Wars series on Disney Plus that with a cover, like, it's just Netflix and Disney Plus and all that, they just fool you with these covers because it says the final season, but that is the whole show. I was literally looking and skipping over that, like, but that's the final season. I thought they were going to separate it or whatever, but no, it's actually attached and categorized in Disney Plus as a whole show. So the one that says the Clone Wars, the final season, is the whole show. Enjoy it, and let me know what you thought, or think, because it's going to take a while to finish, because it's like, I think it's like a 9 season, and each season is like 22 episodes, so it's quite a bit, but I'm enjoying it. It's more Star Wars, the better, and Anthony's proud of me, because he's the biggest Star Wars fan I know, and he's like, dude, where you been with this? I'm like, I know, it's just been a thing on the back burner, I'm always up for more Star Wars. But what about you, sir?
My recommendation, keep physical media alive. Like, I'm telling you, I understand the convenience of digital, but for me, there's just something about having a physical copy. Like, all those Blu-rays I bought, and I'll give you a rundown of what I got. I actually have them right here. So, I managed to get Zombieland Double Tap. Love the first one. Second one was great. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, just because I really wanted to watch it, and it was like $5. I got it. John Wick chapters 1 through 3, and those are all Blu-rays. And then I got the 4K Ultra of Star Wars: Rise of the Skywalker for $7. And I redeem all my digital codes, just because downstairs in our living room, where we watch a majority of our movies, we don't have a player, so like Vudu really comes in handy. So all those movies I watched, I didn't necessarily like put the discs in like my PlayStation or Xbox or whatever to watch them. I watched them all through Vudu, but the fact that I have the physical copies, like, like if a friend's like, hey, like I really want to watch this movie, I'm like, oh, here, like take it and watch it. You know what I mean? Like, just having physical media, I think, is amazing. And if we don't keep up with it, it's going to go away, and that's not good.
Right. I'm like that with Blu-ray collection. I've got a big shelf of Blu-rays, and it's grown so much since I started. Because not that long ago, a few years ago, is when I started Blu-ray switching over. Like I went from DVD to Blu-ray. It's only maybe like 5 years ago. But games are different for me, where I am really embracing the digital world, even though I do miss midnight releases. I do miss that whole hype, but man, there's just something about pre-ordering and pre-downloading Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like, and it's just ready to go.
See,
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there's something different, but movies I feel differently, where I really don't watch hardly anything digital. It's all, I mean, except for obviously the streaming services and all that, but
see, for me,
you know,
with games, it depends on the
movies,
game.
shows I watch streaming. Movies I've always collected. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like I was saying, for games, it depends on the game for me if I'm going to get a physical copy. Like the Crash Bandicoot games, I grew up on them. I had physical copies. I had to get the physical copies. I have all 4 games on physical copies. Had to. But, you know, there's just something about, like, having, like a movie shelf and, you know, one night you just, like, look at it and just to go through and you're like, oh, my God, like, I totally forgot I have this movie. Like, let's watch it. There's just something, like, with that feeling of being able to pick out a film that you haven't seen in a while and just to be able to have it in front of you and have that access to it, to me, is so much better. Because I would rather, like, Tristan and I have totes full of DVDs and Blu-rays, and sometimes it's just nice to, like, look through and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot this was a movie. Like, let's watch it, you know? It's awesome. Collecting movies is awesome. I love it. I know some people are a little crazy with it and collect, like, the super insane, like, steelbook collector's editions for like $50. Like, yeah, it's cool sometimes.
I'll get steelbooks if I get a deal on them. I love the way steelbooks look. Don't get me wrong, but I am not spending $50 on a brand new movie. My limit is always like the regular 20 to 25 with the brand new Blu-rays, because even that sometimes is like,
it's
ouch.
Much, yeah.
So
like, it's just like, you know,
the
they released that big Star Wars set you can get on Best Buy, and it's all steelbooks, and it comes and it's like in this big extravagant package, and it's great, and you're like, wow, I fucking love Star Wars, I want that. And then you see the price tag of $200, and then you think to yourself, like, there's really, is it really worth spending?
There's no true reason whenever you're like, well, I could literally click on them on Disney Plus today.
Right.
Like, you know, it's just when you have access to it already is where I draw the line.
The reason I bought The Rise of the Skywalker on the 4K Ultra is because it was $7. It was $7.
Right.
And my son really likes that movie. That's the first movie him and I ever went to see together, just him and I, and we bonded over it. So, like, to have that physical copy and for him to see it and be like, you know, like, hey, like, I want to watch this, let's watch it. To me, it's more of like a sentimental thing with him, because that's something we bonded over, you know? So that's why I got that movie. Had he would not be in my life, would I have picked it up for $7? Maybe. But, like, I saw that and I grabbed it right away. I was like, I have to, because, like, this is him and I's thing. So
it's the little things, man. Yeah. And that's what I've always felt like with entertainment in general. It's the little things that make me happy. And
my kids love watching movies. They love watching movies with me. It's awesome.
And maybe next time, I don't know when me and Thomas will watch it, but at some point I want to show him the John Wick trilogy. I think he's gonna love it, because I mean, he's just a movie guy in general, but he doesn't see like the new stuff. Like, I have to show him. So
I feel like him and I have very similar personalities. By watching, like, your videos, like your walks, I feel like Thomas and I could have some crazy conversations.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you know, now that you say that, actually, without a doubt, because y'all have dirty sense of humor, y'all, too, so that's a thing. I really like, but I don't know which one would be worse, like, quote unquote. No, you know what I mean. On a low level or whatever. Yeah, he's definitely always, but he's like dirty jokes in a cheesy level. I feel like Dustin is more of like, Thomas, I know you're listening. I'm not saying you're not intelligent, but Dustin might be able to beat you on the deepness of it, no pun intended. And, you know, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm excited to put out Vlog 2 because it's pretty much ready to go. I just got to do it.
I'm pumped.
But,
I'm pumped. I also...
It's been a fun series so far. You know what? I'll just plug that, guys. If you guys want a little bit of
Toxic
behind the
Tiger
scenes of
Studios.
like me and my buddy Thomas, who I work with, Toxic Tiger Studios. I'll leave the link to the channel in the description below if you're listening on YouTube. And by the way, did you guys know we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on all of it. So if you want just the audio and be able to blacken your screen while you listen to us, go for it. Or if you just want to sit there and watch it on YouTube with the thumbnail up, that too. We're going to try to figure out some kind of thing for big episode 50. It's, we're 30 something. I think is this episode 40? I actually think this is episode 40.
It's pretty crazy.
So around like 10 or so more episodes, 50. So when we hit that, we'll figure out some kind of celebration, whether that's a live stream visually or whatever. I feel like we owe it to the peeps.
We do.
And I'm excited. So talk to you guys can't even speak. Love you guys. Talk to you next time.
Don't shit your baby blue bed sheets. See ya!